Alright, so I've got a nice little project on here today. Hopefully it'll only take today, and that is fitting a front linkage which came some weeks back to the T7. Now the reason for getting that front linkage, we're getting the front linkage, but I've also bought this sort of 3-point linkage frame, because onto that what I can do, or what I'm gonna do, is unbolt this. I want to call it a bolster, but whatever, it's a weight carrier, the weight carrier that unbolts from here, because you have to take this off to fit the front linkage. Then this bolts onto that frame, and then you can use your existing weight to as a weight. But of course, instead of being hanging here, it will be hanging out here somewhere, which will make a big difference. Now this tractor, the 1,000 kilo weight you can get for that from New Holland is nowhere near heavy enough. You fill fertilizer spreader up, it's wanting to lift these wheels off the ground. So I needed more weight. Now you can get aftermarket weights, and you can get 1.5 ton weight from the people who supplied this links. But when I looked into it, 1.5 ton weight, just a cast weight, was actually more money than a brand new 3-point linkage. Linkage and the carrier. So you can buy the linkage with the carrier, use your existing weight, and all of that is cheaper than just getting a new 1.5 ton weight, which seems somewhat bizarre, but there we are. So that's what I'm doing today, is fitting that 3-point linkage. Now, it looks quite straightforward. You've got two bolts here, 2 big bolts there, and another one that's sort of underneath here. That's a smaller one and comes off pretty easy. These are tight. The new ones, I don't know what they're set at, these, but the ones that holding the linkage on are 1,000 Newton meters. So I've got to get a bar on it. I started to think, you can probably do that with this on these radiators, pull them out of the way. But it's going to be awkward. I'll probably end up breaking something. So it didn't look too much trouble. So for the half an hour it's going to take me to take it off, it will make it a lot easier. So I've already taken off the air conditioning heat exchanger. This is the intercooler. That's just 2 Jubilee clips there, that should come off. And then you've got, I think this is an oil cooler here. I think that's an oil cooler. Well, that separates just undoing those bolts. I've got these little 3 bolts here, I think, to undo. And then that should just drop off. And the pipes on it are long enough to swing it out of the way. So this one I can take completely away. This one I can just swing out of the way, and then I can get to these with a big lever. So that's a bit of a faff. I expect if you're in a dealership you'd bodge it through somehow, but better safe than sorry, and it will make life a hell of a lot easier to do that. So that is coming off. Right, as predicted, that was relatively straightforward to take off of there. So the cooler's down there. Looks like this could do with a bit of a blowout. It's not brilliant to get to, even though they do swing out. Anyway, so the main thing is we can now get to these bolts easily without crashing into anything else. So I'll get on and untighten them and drop this off the front. Okay, it's all came off pretty straightforward as predicted. Nice big bolts hold it in. I'll use these same bolts of what you use to hold that plate on this. Good, so just have a little clean up. Get that crap cleaned out of there. And then just bolt the linkage on. It doesn't look, considering you can hang 3 odd ton on the front of that linkage, it's just these 3 bolts hold it. It's not got a big frame go up the side like some do. But I guess that's okay, since that's what's supposed to happen. Right, so we'll put the I'll probably put the plate on this before I take it off of there. That might be easier. Well, it's on there now. It's successfully mounted. It wasn't too much trouble. I used this old engine hoist to put it on. You get really good control with it, so that was okay. The bottom bolts were a little bit tricky. They seem to be the ones that are like dowels almost. They're really spot on, so I just had to use the jack just to take a little bit of weight to get them in. The 4 big bolts at the top went on no problem at all. So obviously I've got to route these pipes and everything at shortly. But first I'm going round to a friend of mine to borrow his torque wrench. I've got a pretty decent torque wrench, but these big bolts at the top here go to 1,000 Newton meters, and I haven't got one that will go anywhere near that. So we need to borrow his 3/4 torque wrench. So I'll go and grab that off him shortly. This is more or less fitted now. I've got a couple of bolts to do up there and they need tightening, but you can see how that goes. And obviously the weight is going to stick out even further, so that's good. That will hang that weight out a long way, which should improve things. So I'll go and grab that torque wrench, get that all tightened up, and then route all that pipe work. But the heavy lifting's done anyway. I was starting to plumb in the hydraulics for it, so you have to take off the spool valves. Apparently it's not legal, or new regulations mean you can't tap into them. Not that I would have done anyway, but you're not supposed to have these spool valves, even though you can lock off the front linkage using this valve block that they supply. So we've got these here. I'm about to bring the pipes from the front through there. Just got to work out how to do that. I think I'm going to get a stick so it gets a nice straight poke, attach a pipe through it and just pull it back so it doesn't tangle with anything. I guess that would be the best way to do that. And then all the pipes will be here ready to fit, but we have got a little problem, which is that we have a supplied bracket to mount the valve block on, but it's not for tractors, it would seem, that have air, because all this bracket, as shown, is supposed to pick up that one of these 2 mounting holes, and this bolt here. Well, that's, as you can see, won't go because all that air's in the way. So I've got to work out a different place to put this. Might end up drilling some different holes or doing something different anyway. I'm not quite sure. This plate that this is mounted on seems a bit not quite strong enough. So I'll have to look into that, but I'm sure we'll work something out on it. So I'll bring those pipes from the front now and then look to see where all the pipes end up and then work out where we can put this plate and mount this valve. Alright, so it all seems quite neat, seems okay. I'm pretty sure I've got all the pipes the right way round. It ended up fitting quite neatly on there. I just had to buy 2 more of these to take it sort of back and keep it nice, which it appears to be. It actually fitted on there quite well. Just chopped the bottom of that plate off and drilled a couple of holes. And then there's this hook thing here that New Holland have put on to keep stuff away from the link arms, and so I've just utilised that to hold the pipes out. So that all looks good. Pretty happy with that actually. I wonder, should I have put that? I'll keep an eye on that. Right, so the question is, does it work and is it the right way round? So it's all been released, all the front here is done, everything's back, so let's start it up and see if the arms in fact lift. Okay, so it's on this first spool valve here. Oh, there's a lot of air in there. Down, up, down, yeah, so I think we can safely slow that. That doesn't need to be moving that quickly. So we'll alter the flow rate of that valve. Let's do it at 10%. Okay, let's see if that makes it. That's a better speed. That's not quite so crazy. All right. Right, well, we appear to have successfully fitted front linkage. No obvious signs of oil floating about. Just check at the back here. All looks good. So I need something just to put in there to block that off. That's where the drain was for that. And I think we'll call that A success. Call that a success. So all I've got to do now is tighten these up and put the weight on, and then that's done as well. Oh, and put the drawbar on. Yeah. Okay, pretty pleased with that. So I look forward to using that now. It's another little job ticked off.